individuals or assisted living type of environment. Our focus is really as people just living the best life they possibly can have each and every day. And I say that, A, because I believe it, but the other one is when I got involved in this, all the technology out there was very episodic. It was all, what am I going to do? How am I going to detect that something bad has happened? And then what do I do? And we certainly want to help people be aware of something that might be very concerning happening, but we'd like to be much more focused on preventative aspects and just good, enjoyable daily living activities. So, we have three primary constituents: aging adult, obviously themselves, their family and friends around them, and depending on our market entrants, paid providers. So as an aging adult, nobody likes to be told what to do. Nobody wants to be raised. You don't need to be raised. You just need some assistance from time to time. And so we want to allow people to be as independent as they possibly can and help them with struggles, if any. Those around them, though, we want to really acknowledge that they're very concerned, and we want to help them understand things are going well every day, help them understand what they can do that's actually accretive to wellness for an individual. So, out with the granny cam and in with just helping somebody make it through their particular day. So we attempt to instill and support habits for aging well. I'll elaborate on those a little bit more, but we really want to make people part of their own care process as opposed to the traditional element of pushing care at somebody. You're there to help somebody, but you really want to help people help themselves where they can. We want to let family members have clear peace of mind so they can just get back to being a son, a daughter, or a good friend or family, and not constantly pestering questions or being driven by fear and guilt. They ought to just be driven by love and companionship. The biggest challenge out there is there's just too much stuff. I mean, there's different applications for very specific points of pain, if you will. So we didn't attempt to reinvent everything, but we did consolidate a lot of the things so that you have a single place to go to understand what should the plan be, what is the plan, how am I doing with the plan, how is an individual getting along with their day. So we are a software application that runs on one or more tablet devices that are in the home. The reason there might be more than one is size of the area that you're in, or the areas of the residence where we're trying to help you most with. So it's not unusual for somebody to have a tablet there on their bedside stand to help with wind down, sundown activities, things that might happen during the evening and then getting started up in the morning. And there may be another device in the main living area, whether that's defined as the kitchen environment or another space in the home. And although we do provide the tablet, we provide the tablet out of convenience. It's just a standard off-the-shelf device. But if I were to say, hey, go load my application on a tablet you bought from Best Buy, it's already broken. The tablets in general are kind of dirty, polluted, right? They're just full of all these apps that you have no need for. But most importantly, they're not fully secure. And because in many cases, we're actually providing medical side applications, they're not HIPAA compliant. So we make sure that the device is always there, always on. If the lights go out, if the internet goes away, we deal with all of that for you. And we make sure that it's a fully secure environment. There, with a secure operating environment, we then bring a lot of capabilities in. We connect the things around you or on you. So if you're asking us to help you monitor certain vitals, we support several wearable types. We support traditional blood pressure measuring, pulse oximeters, et cetera. I'll dive into detail on all these. We then set about being a communications hub. And so we allow you to communicate with people in what we call the care circle. So that's people who know you and you trust. This can't be telescammed. You can only communicate through our device if you're invited into the care circle. There's no published phone number out there. It's not like you're joining up with Facebook, or I'm not anti-Facebook, but it's not like you're in a Facebook environment that has lots of leaky connections in that, and it's too easy to make a mistake to make connections that you didn't really intend to. So our care circle is a fully secured environment of people around you. We then set out to help you with your daily activities. Here it's labeled as behavior modification, but it's just a fancy way of saying, adopting habits for aging well. So can we help you with sleep at night? Is that a challenge? Is physical activity throughout the day a challenge? Are there issues or challenges around med compliance and reminders, nutrition, hydration? My own aunt of 107 had very serious issue, as many do here in the West with dehydration. So the simple things are the important things. Are there groceries in the refrigerator? Who's coming over tonight? When are they going to be there? Should I remind them to bring something? So the routines and the habits aren't just for the aging adult, they're there for those around them, because many times it's the people around you that could probably use a little regimen to help you out. We also want to provide a lot of resources for mental actuation, if you will. So we have photos and news and your favorite music. We allow you to voice and video communicate with others within your care circle environment. So things just to help you throughout your day and be a source of joy. Nobody can do it all by themselves. So we also host on our platform lots of other wellness focused sorts of applications. So the only rule of engagement for an application to reside on our platform is this is what you want for yourself, mom or dad. But the other one is, if you're actually a partner, we want to make sure that what you do doesn't violate any of our core tenets around privacy, and that what you do is wellness focused. So we have lots of people that provide Google Assistant and Alexa types of applications that we operate there. We have things like Lumosity, eElevate, depending on the specific requirements for an individual. And then, as I indicated before, we do serve as a hub for a variety of medical devices, should that be a requirement there. So the wearables that we support provide a plethora of capabilities, even if you're not under direct medical order to monitor something, keeping track of your blood oxygen saturation, your heart rate, your activity throughout the day, your sleep activities throughout the day are pretty much the norm with most wearable devices. We just make that really easy for these individuals to interact with and remember to keep it charged, et cetera. And then, of course, if you're monitoring your glucose levels and others, we're in partnership currently with Dexcom, soon with Medtronic, and others for providing blood pressure and that. And I'll give you examples about how we help people stay consistent in measurements, how we advise other people if we're concerned about a given measurement. So we're kind of a unique combination of the non-medical, which is life, and the medical, which currently our medical environment is pretty much the fix broke. They don't really intervene until you're broke, and then they fix you and then they walk away. But we combine the non-medical and the medical into one. And everything I'm showing you here is not a requirement that you do it all. You pick and choose of the capabilities that you're most interested in. The other thing that we integrate with and incorporate is home monitoring devices. Our current partner in that regard is a company called Wise. We'll be adding others, but we find Wise to be highly cost effective and and their implementation is very consistent with the people that we're trying to help. So that's everything from door contact closures, water sensors, motion sensors, cameras, if you will. I'm not a big camera fan myself, but we do support cameras. I think cameras have a role in certain environments, but you don't really need them to really understand, is somebody there and are they doing okay? And I'll show you some examples of that. But again, the notion is to be a hub for all the components that you require, you'd like to help somebody utilize to maintain their independence. I know I said I wasn't a big fan about any specific one, but I am a big fan about wearables. This is not a requirement, but we're finding that if you do the right things to help people keep the device on their wrist, that's usually why wearables don't get used for a prolonged period of time. It's just the off-wrist behavior. People don't understand how to use it, or they don't remember to charge it and that, but we do a lot of things to make sure it stays on the wrist. And when it's on the wrist, it's actually a great idea. You don't need to, but it's a great idea to sleep with it, because lots of things can be learned about activity or during sleep periods, and helping people to wind down and start their days. We also want to make it really easy for people to have access to what we call the curated internet. So you certainly can use, Spotify and other things if you're comfortable with that. But if you don't want to go through all the trouble with that, we'll allow for the sharing of family photos in a bi-directional fashion. You don't need to know how to open up Google Photos or do any of that sort of stuff. We'll curate, make a list of your favorite music, make that really easy for you to access, or have music part of your daily routine or your daily care plan. And the same goes for news and similar types of activities. This is just an example of allowing people access to other applications. So you don't have to know, hey, how do I go into the navigator and how do I open up that application? We'll just take care of all that for you, make it very simple. What is it that you want to do? And here's how you start it. And then more importantly, on top of that, is we're keeping track of what you do in a positive way, so that we understand, are you actually having beneficial use of those types of applications? So let's get back to the core, the habits for aging well. So we start with laying out what we call a care plan. Our care plans are kind of macro care plans. They're all day and all night, and embedded in those might be some specific medically oriented plans around managing hypertension or other things, but really just trying to help people lay out their plan for the day.
Good
and now,
Mom. I love you.
Over on the, oh, she got ahead of me. Over on the aging adult side, this is the view that that an individual has. From time to time, the system comes up. This is it being used as an alarm clock. Alarm clocks can be anything you want them to be.
Good morning, Mom. I love you. Have a good day.
Can be son or daughter just wishing you a good morning. But now that we have that individual's attention, we might ask them to emote a little bit. Hey, how are you feeling right now? Would you like to talk to somebody? And that's the other challenge we saw with, traditional, help me, I've fallen ambulance, and that is they don't do anything to try to get somebody to talk and communicate and emote and share just how they're doing throughout the day. We want to make that super easy for people and stimulate that opportunity. During the day, there may be, as opposed to just saying, hey, time to exercise, we can show you exactly what to do. This is physical therapist generated content that we have on the platform for sit and stand exercises and others. Those can be done individually, or they can be done as part of a group session. Example of a med reminder for an individual. We're not here to verify that the medicine actually made its way down the throat, because if that's a challenge, then there's different support required. But typically people are just challenged, they totally forgot about it, or they want to talk to somebody about the med, or they forgot the sequencing, and that's we're there to help with that. The other core is what we call the care circle of people around you that you're going to allow to not only communicate with you, but you might choose to share some information like, hey, if it looks like I forgot my med today, I'd like you to know to maybe come out and help remind me again, or chat to me about what some of my challenges are. So unlike telemedicine and similar platforms, we don't restrict who can use it. We can allow friends, family, we can allow people from the clinical background to use this as their telemedicine portal if they decide to do so. On the aging adult side, this is our version of speed dial. You just see friendly faces, you know who they are, one touch, you're off and communicating with them. If you decide you want to talk to Claire, but Claire is not available right then, we're going to also text Claire and say, hey, Helen tried to reach you earlier today. Here's how you can connect back to her if you decide to ring her back a little bit later. We are extending this out into our version of PERS. We choose to, PERS is Personal Emergency Response Service. That's a typical help me, I've fallen amulet type of style. We like to spell ours with a U, so for personal urgent response, because there's a lot of times people just need, they're anxious, or they're not on the floor, but they really could talk to somebody. So we just make that simple. You hit a single button. We maintain a list of who is it that I should notify when you make that type of request. So again, it's a platform that allows other people to come in and offer their services. You don't have to accept any of these services. You don't have to need these services. It's just a capability within the platform. So that's our Care Circle, and I'll get off my soapbox and field questions. Any questions?
Let's see. I do see one here, Pat.
Yeah.
Amount of time to help the person understand the procedure.
So it sounds like kind of the overall onboarding process. So here's what the common wisdom is seniors don't grok tech, and that's wrong. What the challenge with tech adoption is we put technology, it was designed for different users, for different uses in front of them, and it makes no sense. So this is designed, we've gone through 2 years of focus groups and research in conjunction with the University of New Brunswick, St. John, which is up in Canada, doing all sorts of detailed interaction with gerontologists and others. So the challenge isn't really around the aging adult. Typically, the challenge is around those around them. Hey, I want to help somebody with 10 things. Well, you don't start with 10 things. You start with one and go to the other. And you really need to involve the person you're trying to help from day one. Not show up going, hey, there's this thing I got for you, and it's going to do all these wonderful things for you. And you didn't really talk to them. You didn't, so the introduction really starts day one, where you have universal buy-in about what we're trying to do and each person's role. It shows up on the doorstep, ready to run, turn it on, you're off and going. Depending on the individuals, whether we're helping a family member understand the difference between raising and giving care, that might take more time to train that individual up. If it's actually a professional caregiver who already understands that, in a matter of hours or so, they are fully conversant with our system. So hopefully that was the question in the.
Thank you, Pat. I did get another one. Bob asked, will emergency alert work outside of home?
So what I'm sharing with you today is our implementation inside of the home. We are moving to also, our initial focus group were individuals that were not highly mobile and typically did not have a smartphone. For individuals that are more mobile and are comfortable with and have a smartphone, then you can make the request from that smartphone device.
Great. Oh, unmute is turned off by the host. Jason
is turned off by the host. Just to make sure,
David.
But I will. Okay, if you've noise in the background, be mindful of that. But let's see. Allow participants to yeah, there we go. It's a new button on the Zoom, so you should be able to unmute yourself now if you'd like to jump in and ask a question.
Thank you. I appreciate that. This is David, and I really am quite fascinated with Routinify. Something that brings it all together so well is amazing, and I can appreciate that it took you 2 years. And I got a feeling it's going to be an ongoing process. But I'm also particularly interested in how you draw in. It's exciting for seniors to hear about this and to present it to seniors, but how about their family members or close friends who might really benefit from this as well for their own family and friends? Do you have an outreach for that? Does the app lend itself to that? And what training? I know you mentioned something about it. Could you elaborate?
Yeah, so that's a little bit of I just came from a board meeting, so this is almost a go-to-market strategy question as well. So the ultimate use is from family members, friends and family, and then seniors. But we've chosen to go to market through professional caregiving organizations. So in-home care companies as an example. And the reason for that is that, we think that professionals should be involved in helping people understand what the care plan should look like and helping people understand the difference between helping and teaching a person care as opposed to attempting to raise them. So we don't have a direct to consumer market today. Having said that, we actually are going to be going indirectly to consumers through insurance plans and individuals when they're looking for Medicare Advantage plans. So we will start those dialogues. The technology is very well suited to be used by family members. It's more, how do you find the family members? It's more of a go-to-market challenge.
So I'd like to follow up on that last statement. How do you find the family members? And also that you're aiming this at caregivers who would probably understand this better, could explain it to their clients. I get that. I really do. But let's just say that some of us get off of this webinar and we say, hey, I know how to get a hold of an app called Routinify, and I can really help you with this. And I think that would be good to do. But on the other hand, I heard you attach it to the concept of a care plan in a more professional sense. And so that makes me kind of, oh, wait a minute, what's he talking about? Because certainly we would want to use the app to try to create a care plan for somebody that maybe their doctor should be involved in, for example.
Yeah, so that you're getting at the nub that, I should always have the air quotes up there really soon. So a care plan for us is just 7 by 24. It's like, hey, should you go to bed? Did you make it to bed? How well did you sleep last night? So a lot of things that the physician might be concerned about, but doesn't get involved in. Embedded in that is that if that individual is dealing with hypertension, as an example, we may bring in the components of their formal medical care plan. So to your point, we should start calling it something other than a care plan, because this confusion happens. So for the family members, the plan's really around what can I do to help mom and dad get to bed properly at night, and that I know that they actually safely made it there, to help them with their morning routines, meds, nutrition, hydration, that I can detect that they've been inactive during the day, and let's try to stimulate them to have activity, that they haven't talked to anybody all day today, that I can, reach out myself or try to encourage conversations. So family members do know all of the things that the medical community doesn't know about. And that's what we mean by care plan. It's how do I help you through your day?
Thank you, Pat.
Pat, I did have one more. I guess it was earlier, and this might be hard to answer, honestly, Pat, but it was the cost info. That was kind of asked earlier. Can you kind of go at all into cost?
I can, and I'm going to do a little segue. And Tanya, I don't mean to surprise, so we'll need to work on this. The first one is I'd like to gift 10 of these to Little Help participants or members. And my apologies that I have not, really fully vetted that with you. So we'll figure that one out in a moment. But typically our cost structure runs from $50 to $100 a month, depending on what set of features those individuals are looking for, where the $50 is really what a family would use, a senior would use themselves. And as you migrate towards 100, that typically means there's some medical involvement going on. We're connecting to medical devices. And as a result, there's a little bit more perspiration on our side to do that. We also, for those individuals that would like to use one of our telecare providers, I maintain a staff of clinical social workers and RNs that are there to help people, family members and others, define what the plan should look for the day, and will assist them in monitoring that plan, and can also reach out to their loved one throughout the day if they so desire.
Cool. Thank you, Pat. That's fantastic. Yeah, we can go through the details afterwards, and I'll get emails out and etc.
Excellent. Yeah, and apologies, Tanya.
No.
Time got away from me.
That is perfectly fine. I think everyone will be happy. Does anyone else, I don't see anything else in the chat. Does anyone else want to, Pat has probably about 3 minutes left. Does anyone else want to unmute or ask any other last minute question? And if not, we'll put it over to Shelley. Oh, I heard someone enter. Anyone? All
I'm
right.
going to take my last 60 seconds really
Okay.
quick. Because one thing there's a lot going on here, but one thing that I didn't really focus on was how this gets used for communication. So over on the family or the care circle side of the equation, there's a mobile application. And all of this activity, mom looked at photos, walking around the house. Those are all explicit check-ins without saying, hey, mom, press this button to tell me that you're okay. As opposed to using, granny cams to look in or AI powered motion sensor to go, I think that's your mom, not a cat, move it about. This is actually physical interactions that people have had throughout the day. So they're very explicit, very high cognition check-ins throughout the day. And that information is flowing to those in the care circle as permitted. And the other thing is when people come in the home, we like them to check in and check out and just, leave us a little video about that.
I am just getting ready to leave, and here's Bill and he's having a pretty good day. He's up a little tired today, but he's up now and he's going to have.
My other challenge, and not so much challenge, but thing that bothers me about traditional in-home care services is they try to separate the family from the caregivers, and they don't accentuate having that direct communication. They always try to focus the communication goes through supervisors. And I think the caregivers get no love. They ought to be able to show what they did today and the joy that they had in coming into that individual's home. And the family wants to know, hey, somebody's been there and things are good. Over and out.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pat. Jason, do we have to Shelley? She's all good to go. Fantastic. Shelley, you are up. Do you have capabilities and is our internet back on and good to go?
Yes, thank you so much. I'll go ahead and start that share right now. Pat, while I'm doing this, I just wanted to say thank you so much for what you have deposited into all of us today. It was fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to learning more so I can be a referral partner for you for sure. With that said, let me get this share going. And thank you for your patience during our little technical glitch there. I think we're ready to go now. So I am very honored to be a part of this webinar today. And I want to say hi, friends and family. Very much excited to share this information with you. I am Shelley Clennon, and I have the honor of representing Safe Space Builders, and we do cover the entire Western Slope. So I know majority of you are located on the eastern side, the Front Range. So this will be a great opportunity for you to have an awareness that we are located here. So if you do have family or friends, or you hear rumor that someone on our side needs this type of assistance, please do keep us in mind as long as you're impressed by what we have to share with you today. So with that, I'll just go ahead and jump right in. Please do take my phone number if you're interested in partnering. If you're on the professional side, like I said, I'm very much into the referral process, power partners, referring back and forth. It's important that you know that you have partners in this industry that you can trust and and you like. So if you're on the other side, the end user, maybe you have participants in your family that you think this would be a good service for, I'd be more than willing to contact them and answer any questions. And make sure that they know that they do have people on this side that can care, or even we can connect you with people on that side that we partner with as well. Okay, so before I go into the details of what sets us apart as a contractor, I want to really set the tone for our heart. And I want to make sure that you understand that we are coming from a place of caring, just like a caregiver would if they were to go into the home for your loved ones. We come from a position of we're here for them. And we see things more than just putting two pieces of lumber together. This is much more to us than just that. This is actually helping someone stay in their home. We are focused on home safety. And so if your loved ones come home, say maybe they fell and now they have a discharge nurse saying, okay, you're going home in 3 days, and you realize that maybe they're in a wheelchair and they can't get into their home. Oh my gosh, what do we do? And that's where we're able to come in and solve that problem for you and the caregivers that are in that scenario. Other things that set us apart is that our price point. Something that we've taken into consideration is that sometimes you need products with the services that we offer, and we want to keep that price point down as low as possible. The way to do that for these families that we care for is making sure that we have access to becoming a dealer for some of these companies that provide these products. So we have a better price point for them, because we're not having to charge the high retail prices and then inflate it as a forward process. We can then just be a dealer for them and have that lower price point. And I'll explain that further in detail here in just a moment. The second point I want to bring to your attention is the experience that we hold. We have a collective amount of 22 years in this industry, whether it be that, like for myself, I'll just speak from my personal experience. I owned a medical supply company, so wheelchairs, walkers, hospital beds, that type of thing, and worked very, very closely with several other power partners in that industry, such as therapists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, rehab professionals, those kinds of things. So I have been in the industry long enough, in my perspective, to know what it looks like when someone has become a quad or paraplegic or have been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and what that progression looks like. So I'm able to see that and have a higher awareness on what it may look like for that end user when we go to modify their living experience in their home. So just to give you a little bit of understanding on where I come from and why my passion is so huge in this is because I've actually seen what it looks like to take someone from, oops, here we are, and oh my gosh, here we are now. And so that whole process is just absolutely amazing and heart-filled. Something else I want to point out that sets us apart from other contractors is that we've taken the stand to give back. And giving back to our community not only means that we help the veteran community and offer discounts for veterans, which is such an honor for us to give back to them, but we've also taken the stand to become a Medicaid contractor. And for some of you, you may know what that means, and some of you may not, but basically what it means is there's a waiver that's out there, and it is for people that are eligible through the state of Colorado, and they have a set of funds that's actually offered to them to help them stay in place and age in place. Or maybe if they have a disability or a special ability, we're able to actually go in and use that waiver to help modify their home. There's a cap of $14,000 per participant with this waiver. And so we're able to accommodate that grant process and make sure that we can help them afford the necessary means to keep them in place. Like I was saying before, I just briefly touched on it. Power partners are also a huge piece to what we do. If you guys think about your life and the things that you've done, how powerful is it to know that you can call a friend and say, hey, I know Bob, or I know Susie. I've done business with them forever. I trust them. I know them. I like them. I know the type of work that they do. I know where their heart lies in this industry, and then be able to refer that person to someone that you care about. Same thing goes for us. We are not a durable medical supply company. However, we do offer some products, but I don't offer all of them. And so therefore, I do have partners in the durable medical industry, or I have partners that does, rehab therapy, or maybe we've got someone that's all of a sudden feeling dizzy spouts. I have someone that specializes in that area too. So it's very powerful that we have those power partners in our sphere of influence for your people and the people that we care for. So I'm sure we all know in this room that 90% of Americans want to age in place. I don't know how you feel when you go home, but I know for me, it's a sense of, I'm home. And I know that I'm safe there because it's my world. I've created my own little habitat, right? So who wants to go outside of their home? And I know for my mom and dad, I didn't want them to feel like they were taken from us or that we were taken from them. And so for us to be able to give them that peace of mind that they have a place called home, which actually is going to work for them safely, that's really what the point of all of this is. So we like to say it's your turn to design your very own safe space. It's a little play on words, but we thought it was really cute and creative. The safe space really is what we offer for them. So let's go ahead and move into some of the products that we offer. So we like to call indoor safe spaces and outdoor safe spaces. So with the indoor safe space, you'll see here in this diagram, there's a picture of a shower. This one is not completely barrier free. You can see there's a threshold there, but we offer all different types of scenarios. So when we go into the home, we're able to help you design what you see aesthetically pleasing wise for your bathroom, as well as what will work for functionality. So as an example, most people see grab bars in the normal traditional style that they see maybe in a hospital setting, or maybe in like a nursing home, or maybe in a home. What we're able to do is we can adapt to the person. So what that means for you is you can see in this example, there's two grab bars, one above the other. I go in and do a home assessment, and I actually assess their grip strength. I see if they can stand and pivot. Are they able to bear weight on their legs? How tall are they? Do they have support in their forearm? Can they pull themselves up, or do they require a caregiver's aid? Do they have the ability to reach up in a shower and pull the shower head down, or do they need to be sitting on a padded bench? All of those areas of concern we look at. This is not a cookie cutter scenario with us. We are more than that. So we go in and we make sure that that end user is being heard. And then after, we're able to go in and then we repeat to them what we heard them say before we even start the process of construction. So this is one of the processes that we use when it comes to bathroom safety. Here's another example. I'm sure you guys have heard the term universal design. Sometimes we have multiple people and families that are living together now, especially in the environment that we're in. People are coming together and gathering in one home. If that's the case, you may have children that are able-bodied. You may have children that are not. You may have elderly that are in the situation where they need caregiving scenario. But we want to adapt the home to everybody that's living there and make sure that it is accessible and functional for whatever scenario is going on there. So we make sure to address those issues as well. Now, if you remember before, when I first started, we talked a little bit at length on our products and the fact that we have access to products at a better price point. So here's an example of a wheelchair lift, an indoor wheelchair lift. Some people are unable to transition. Some people are unable to move their bodies at all for a spinal cord injury or whatever the case may be. We want to make sure they know that this is an option for them too. So this, most of the time we think about how are we going to get up these stairs. We think of a straight stair lift, which I'll show you here in a moment. But I want you to know this is another product that we can offer in case they are wheelchair bound and unable to transition. Now, like I said before, this is also the straight stair lift like I was speaking of prior. So if there are stairs in the room and moving is not an option for you or the family or caregiver scenario, then we can go ahead and adapt to that. If you need a curved stair rail, please make sure that you reach out to us there too, because we do have providers that we work with that can offer that type of service. For us particularly, however, we just like to continue the focus on the straight stair lifts. And down the road, maybe we'll consider the curved, but right now we're just focusing on the straight. This is one of my favorite products that we offer. So just making sure you understand our demographic, we focus on pediatric all the way up to bariatric. We also offer, obviously, for our elderly, blind, and disabled communities as well. So when we're installing or looking at the option for a patient transfer system, we can do several different options. We can either do a freestanding transfer system. Maybe we don't have a support in the ceiling, where we can do a ceiling mounted. If we need a ceiling mounted system like you see in the hospital rooms where they go across that rail and you have a curtain that you can pull, we can offer that scenario as well. A lot of times for our pediatric end users, they have a bathing scenario that we like to set up, so we make an entire room waterproof, and we make sure that they have that entire adaptation. So that way the mother or the caregiver or the father don't have to worry about breaking their backs and hurting themselves. They have a scenario we can support those children or end users. These are one of my favorite things that we offer. It's so much fun to be able to see someone go from one end of the room all the way through the house on a rail system and have full independence. They can cook for themselves, use the restroom, that kind of thing in the setup, as long as we understand what their needs are, and we would do that in our home assessment. By the way, while I'm going through this, I know I'm covering quite a bit, but please feel free to just put in the chat questions as we're moving along so I can make sure to address them. Okay, here's another one of my favorite things. A lot of times when people think grab bar, they think institutional. They think that it's going to look commercialized. And I don't know if you feel the same way I do, but if I had to have a grab bar in my bathroom, I'd want it to be a little more on the designer side. I'd want it to look nice and also have the functionality that I need and make sure that it's supporting the end user. So we have different products that we offer that allow that. So if you want bronze or stainless steel, or maybe you want nickel to match the other hardware that's in your home, we can adapt to that as well and make sure that it doesn't look so institutional, but it still provides the safety. A little note, and here's a gold nugget for you to take away from this webinar. If you are considering installing your own grab bar, or considering hiring someone, please make sure that there is backing in the wall prior to you installing it. You can also install to a stud, but sometimes we have those shower inserts or another situation where you're not able to get to a stud where you need that grab bar positioned. Just go ahead and cut that drywall out, put in some backing, replace the drywall, and that way you know it's not going to come out of the wall in case you need that support. Transitioning to the outdoor safety space, just think about the fact that, you know, how whenever you're carrying groceries and you know how nice it would be if you just pushed a button with your arm. Same thing, we can offer that for commercial as well as residential. There are many scenarios where, you know, we've got children and that kind of thing. We want to make sure that they can open any door that's in their home, and we can install those for you as well. When we think of accessibility, typically we think of ramps. How am I going to get in my home? And that example that I had given you prior on, let's say grandma fell or mom fell and broke a hip, and now you know they're being discharged into the home, and you're like, oh my gosh, we have 4 steps of the front entry. How am I going to get her in there? And how am I going to make sure that they're safe and I'm safe? So we obviously want to make sure that you know that we do offer the metal ramps. This is one type of system that we offer, as well as wood. We do iron as well as concrete too. So my husband is a real estate agent, and I'll tell you the first thing that he asks me is, oh my gosh, what about the curb appeal? Now let's just be honest, whenever you're looking at a ramp, it's 1 foot to every 1 inch of rise. You might want to jot that down. It's another golden nugget. So if you have 48 inches of rise, meaning 48 inches of stairs at your entryway, you need a 48-foot ramp to make sure that the slope is adequate to protect the end user and the person caregiving. So if that's the case, you're thinking, man, I don't want a 48-foot ramp. It might be beautiful, but it's not what I want for curb appeal. We can offer that problem solve as well. And here is the solution. We offer standard porchless vertical port lifts, indoor, outdoor, and all different types of aesthetically pleasing material. So this particular one that I use in this example is aluminum. The price point is pretty much the same. We can color match the house if you choose to make it less visible, but this is a great opportunity to problem solve when you need an entry point solution. All right, we also offer rental ramps, making sure that you guys know that that's also something that is an option. Depending on the rise at the entryway, whenever you have someone being discharged, sometimes we may not have the opportunity to go out and build a ramp or install a vertical platform lift, so we need a quicker solution. Sometimes we just need a ramp to go into the back of the van so that way we can load the wheelchair that they're being sent home with or that you need to go pick up. So we do offer thresholds for the end user as well as rental ramps for you if that's something that you need. Okay, so when we talk about home assessments, this is my favorite part, probably because I have a heart for it and a passion, but what does it look like when we do a home assessment and evaluation? I'm going to give you 2 scenarios. The first one, if you have someone that is on the Medicaid program or the waiver program, how does that look? So basically what needs to happen is they're going to have a case management system, an occupational therapist involved, and a prescription from their primary care physician. All of that happens prior to us as contractors being discharged out to the home. So if it's a Medicaid scenario, I will go off of the occupational therapist evaluation as well as what the doctor prescribes, and I will go in and I will do my own internal assessment with a contractor's point of view. So a therapist may be able to say, oh my gosh, we need Mrs. Smith to be able to get from point A to point B and make it happen, but she doesn't understand whether or not the house will accommodate that need. And that is where we're able to go in as contractors and say, well, we need to move this 2x4. This is, a load-bearing wall. We can move this wall. No, we probably shouldn't because of reason A, B, and C. So that's the benefit to having all of us in that sphere of influence working together as a partnership. With the Medicaid thing, we will go in, we will do our home assessment, we will provide an estimate, and then we provide a dictation. What a dictation is I go in and I, like I said prior, repeat what the end user said they wanted in their home. And then I make sure all parties involved are connected so that we're all on the same page. In this particular scenario, it's really important that we continue not only medically necessary means, but also making sure that over communication is there so as to speed up the process for the end user to limit falls or limit medical conditions arising. Now, an evaluation with someone that is private pay versus Medicaid, it's very similar. The only difference is I don't need a doctor's prescription. We don't need an occupational therapist evaluation to proceed. I go in and do a home assessment and we move from that point forward. The home assessments that we provide are free. We do not charge for those. I believe that it's important. Knowledge is power and wisdom is also power. And so if we can help empower our communities, that's the whole point of what we're doing. So I don't know exactly where I'm at on time, but I feel like I'm about there for question and answer, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what those are.
Shelley, I do see one in the chat. let's see here. David asked, are these, all the services you're offering, are these also covered by the Medicaid program you mentioned earlier?
Yes, yes. So if they just need an entry point, whether it be a ramp or a vertical platform lift, that's my area of expertise to go in and say, this is why, and this is the product I would recommend. So absolutely.
Jason, are folks on, have the capabilities of unmuting if they'd like to ask also a question verbally?
Yes, you may. So you can, if you have a question you'd like to ask, you just hit the microphone button in the bottom left corner and ask away.
Give people a couple more seconds to formulate any questions.
Well, I won't ask a question, but I will share a comment. Your program is great. It really is thorough. And it reminds me of another program I'm familiar with in our area on the eastern side of the slope. It's called Accessibility. Are you familiar with it? Yeah, you are.
And I've partnered with them several times.
Okay, so why don't you address that for the folks here on the eastern side of the slope, please?
Okay, so from my understanding, Accessibility is the company that does the exact same thing that we do, and they have a massive showroom. I do believe it's in Lakewood. Is that what you're referring?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so here's the cool part is whenever we have partners, people would normally see them as competitors because they do the same type of service that we do, but actually we see it as a compliment. So whenever we're able to have people on that end, or maybe we have people here on this end that are on the eastern slope, we can send them to that showroom and say, go try it out, sit in the sling, try out the ramp, see what that feels like, and then be able to communicate back and forth and work as a partnership with them.
Thank you, Shelley.
You're welcome, David. Thank you for your comments. And I appreciate all of you for being here and allowing me to have this honor today.
Thank you. I do have one more that just popped up. Are certain ramp surfaces recommended for wheelchairs or walkers?
Great question. So I know with the aluminum ramp system, they tend to get really cold with the hands, okay? So if we're thinking about considerations, there's several different options. If we're gonna paint a wood ramp, they do have that paint that has the grain in it to give it more of a tacky surface to help you with your traction. We also do traction strips on ramps, the wood ramps in particular, if they feel that that's necessary for their stability. But as far as the aluminum ramps, believe it or not, they're really not that slippery of a surface. But if you feel we need to go that extra mile, we can do that for you and rough up those edges around the surface of the platform.
Thank you, Shelley. Looks like we might be about done with the questions. I appreciate it. Shelley and Pat, thank you both so much. For those, the rest of the folks who are on the Zoom call, I will be sending out an email with Shelley's contact information as well as Pat's information, as well as the, I believe he said 10 Routinify kind of offers for folks, correct? So I'll be sure to pass that on to everyone who is on this call. I do just want to, remind everyone that tomorrow we are having another session very similar to this from 12 to 1. It is the same link. We hope you will come on so you can get even more information, maybe do some comparison and figure out what is best for you and or your loved ones. And lastly, I did want to thank United Healthcare. They do sponsor our little talks. And we did not mention that right off the bat, so I wanted to make sure I got that in at the end here. That is really it for me. Again, I just really appreciate everyone, tuning in. It's important information, and we too at A Little Help really like to provide this information and have these type of partnerships so we can give our folks the best information that is out there, and so you can make educated decisions. We hope to see you guys tomorrow. Jason, do you have anything you want to add?